Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here and share with you some of the research activities happening in our research group. The focus of our research has been trying to harness nonlinear structural mechanics and to use that to design deployable, adaptive, and lightweight structures. My name is Kawai Kwok. I'm an assistant professor at Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. So a little bit about me. I got my Ph.D. in aeronautics or aerospace engineering from Caltech in 2013. And then I spent some time in Denmark at the Technical University of Denmark as a research scientist, working on slightly different area, but still within the area of mechanics of structures and materials. And then I joined UCF in 2017 and then until now. So my research background, I'm a solid mechanics, training. My research has been focused on mechanics of structures and materials, particularly, geometrically nonlinear and material nonlinear behavior. As I'll show you some of the research problems that we have been working on. One of the main applications that we are looking for towards is deployable and lightweight structures, and these are typically apply in the spacecraft structure application. And we're also thinking about areas that are not just on the structural side, but also how do we incorporate new materials and functional materials in these sort of structures so that we make these structures multifunctional, lightweight, and be able to perform several different missions in space. And I'm also looking now into more system integration, to bring the structural, research that we've been doing on the system level and aiming for sort of space missions and that we can send to space and test the new concept that we have developed. On the teaching side, I've been teaching, mechanics related courses. One of my favorite courses is solid mechanics undergraduate course. It's a big class, 300 some students. But I'm starting to infuse a lot of programming elements into the curriculum, and I think that the students have been finding that very useful. At times very challenging, but that's slowly open the door for more interactive and more realistic assignments that they can solve. I also teach kinematics of mechanisms. That is elective class dealing with mechanisms, actually very related to deployable structures. On the graduate level class, I've been teaching fracture mechanics. That is on engineering fracture mechanics. How do we do that in design? And a new course that I'm doing, this is the first semester I'm doing it, is plates and shelves. I'm basically revamping this course, from the sort of traditional plate and shelf theory to adding a lot more geometric nonlinear behavior, looking at very flexible structures, solid sail design project. That is going to be part of that plate and shell class. So all of these courses, I'm trying to implement a lot of programming elements, and design elements into the courses. There's some accomplishments that over the course of past few years we've worked on some problems that mainly related to NASA missions. So we've got some collaboration there and also some recognition. So let's go into the research motivation. So one of the the main idea, the main motivation for us is to send large space structures into space, and there are some reasons why structures in space have to be large, and one of the main purposes of various different structures in space is trying to harness the electromagnetic spectrum. So I'm showing here the different types of structures you typically see in space. We need antennas on satellites, solar sails, which gives you propulsion, and solar arrays. that gives you energy. You have star shades that help you block some sunlight or light from star and increase your observation sensitivity. We have telescopes, and you can see that the largest size today they are ranging from this 22 meter to 40 40 something meter. And that is sort of the state of the art today. However, that is very limited by limiting the performance of this, because if we have larger antennas, actually we get better gain. If we have larger sails, that is higher propulsion thrust and solar arrays, higher energy output, bigger star shades, we get higher detection sensitivity. And larger telescope, higher resolution. So really the performance scales with how much surface area you can deploy in space. And the challenges that we are facing is obviously, first of all, the volume limit, because in launch vehicles there we are talking about a 5-meter fairing, and that's about much the biggest that we can put in. And the other is obviously the mass limit, and that's because bringing all that mass to space is not cheap. There are two other challenges that may be less direct. Is first of all, we ought to think about what is the shape precision of these structures in space. As they get large, they become less precise, and it's difficult for them to perform the functions. Like telescopes, you have to have a very precise shaped mirror, for example. And we ought to think about long-term reliability in orbit, because these structures, they when they go to space, we don't really maintain them. You can't fix them. They are there, and they're going to go on for 30, 40 years, by themselves. All right. So I'm going to show a few different projects that we are working on, different areas on lightweight structures and deployable structures. So the first one is a thin-ply composite laminate in deployable booms. So this is a project that sponsored mainly by NASA Langley Research Center. We also have a couple STTR collaboration with several companies on the same topic. So this is really a thin-ply composite laminates. They're extremely thin, which makes them really desirable for deployable structures, because then you can fold them into high curvatures. So basically, you can see that these are the laminates that we actually make and characterize in the lab. They are on the order of 160 microns thick, and they are carbon fiber composite laminated. So we kind of look at the microstructure and perform multi-scale modeling of these structures through the whole deployment, storage, and the shape recovery behavior throughout. So you can see this is actually a long spacecraft boom that is rolled up in a small package. And this is a very highly flexible and geometric nonlinear simulation. It's pretty difficult, challenging to simulate the whole process. And we are we're specifically looking at how the storage has an impact on the recovery of the deployable boom, because we found out that if the boom has been stowed for too long, they don't recover its full shape, and that has a lot of disadvantages when it's being used in orbit. They lack stiffness. They sort of lack shape accuracy. But so we have actually successfully demonstrated the first full-scale simulation. We're still working with NASA very closely on this particular work. And we have also made these composites in the lab for testing. So the other project that I like to highlight is a project that we come up with, on the making an adaptive composite, making it shape actuation and strain sensing together in the same composite element. So we're using shape memory polymer. You can control the shape by changing the thermal history of the material, and you have to count. We combine that with carbon nanotube paper, and that gives us a carbon composite, and that actually has both the strain sensing coming from the electro behavior of the nanotube and the shape changing behavior of the shape memory polymer. The goal for this project is to to have all the sensing and shape changing in one place so that we can actually do a closed loop control and to correct any shape inaccuracy in orbit. Now, another project that I'm highlighting, this is a super pressure balloon project that we are working with NASA Balloon Program Office. This is a super pressure balloon that you actually bring up in the upper atmosphere, and it's actually made up of a very thin film, a polyethylene film. And in the very complex system, the main idea is that we need to have a computational structural analysis in the design process to verify all the design features inside that balloon. So this is a huge balloon, the size of a football field. What we have been working on is working on the material model, which is a nonlinear viscoelastic polymer. And we specifically study, experimentally and also from modeling studies, how wrinkling and how yielding occur in the balloon. And that typically is what we have so far identified as the main failure modes of this balloon that prohibit it for a long duration flight. So this is the final project I want to highlight. We just started on this project very recently, so we have not a lot to report yet. But this is an exciting project, an exciting idea that we have started looking into. It's recently funded by Office of Naval Research. So the idea is to make a propeller blade deployable. So we want to be able to roll this blade around the hub of the propeller, and it's going to be able to self-deploy after launching in air. So this is a little bit different from the space, applications that we've been looking at because the loading conditions is a lot more aggressive in the propeller blade than in space. But we are actually making use of a similar idea that we always use for space structures, which is a snap instability, which typically, if you have a curved shell, you can find out that snap instability is a highly geometrically nonlinear behavior, which you can make use of it to, really that it can maintain both a stiff state and a very compliant state. Making use of that instability. So just showing some, the design principle here, right? So this is a curved shell. Typically, if you bend it, you can get into some instability mode. But before that, it's pretty stiff, just like a normal structure. But once you get past that, you get into a highly deformed shape is at a very small moment. But the good thing about this is reversible. So we can go back in between these states. So we make use of that into designing the blade skin structure. So we think about, can we make this curved shell into the airfoil shape and maintain that sort of instability for our rolling purposes. So this is on the right-hand side, just a very quick concept demonstration prototype we made in the lab, making use of composite. So just the last slides on this. We are very interested in the near term to look at also deployable systems at small scale. We have recently started looking at biological systems, small animals, basically ladybug wings and hummingbird beak. They actually are deployable structures. The wings and the beak of the hummingbird, they can actually snap, and that it's very interesting now for us to what functions do they serve? Why do they need that? And what is then the geometry and mechanism? Can we use that to design larger deployable structures? The other plan is to integrate deployable structures into the system level into small satellite platforms. Right now, we are in touch with MIT Lincoln Lab, and they're interested in starting a senior project, design project as a start. I've been also working with Dr. Go in our department. We're looking at making the thin-ply ceramic matrix composite, not polymer matrix composite. That looking at some harsh thermal chemical environments that we might be seeing, and so for long term, in the long term, next 5 to 10 years, we also think about fully functional deployable systems that we can send to space, and that is not just the structural side, but we like to integrate photovoltaics into just making a functional satellite. Also, the other two interesting areas that we are thinking about a lot lately is how to actually assemble deployable structures in space, so that in the end of the day they can really form really another class of large space structures. And how do we also fabricate that such structures using space resources? So I'm going to put my arrangements here, my collaborators and students, and the financial support from NASA and ONR. Thank you.